There is a person you've met maybe once, maybe years ago, but you still think about them. Not because of what they said, not because of how they looked, because of how you felt when you were with them. Like you were the most interesting person in the room, like time moved differently, like the conversation actually mattered. That feeling has a source, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it is and how to create it yourself. Most of us have spent years trying to become more likable. We've read the tips: smile more, make eye contact, ask questions, dress better, speak with confidence. Here's what nobody tells you. The problem was never your personality. The problem was your attention. The most magnetic people alive aren't doing something extraordinary with their words. They're doing something extraordinary with their focus. They have learned, consciously or through years of living, to direct their awareness outward, and in a world that has never been more self-absorbed. That outward gaze is electrifying. Before you say a single word in any room, any meeting, any date, any social gathering, you've already made an impression. Here's how to control it. Habit 1, the slow blink. Watch someone who is nervous. Watch their eyes flicker and dart, scanning for exits, scanning for judgment. Now watch someone who is deeply at ease. Their blink is slow, deliberate, unhurried. On a neurological level, we read rapid eye movement as anxiety or deception. We read a slow, steady gaze as calm authority. Begin paying attention to your blink rate in high-pressure conversations. Slow it down consciously. What it broadcasts without a word is, I am not afraid of this moment. Habit 2, the triangle. Here's the single most useful thing anyone has ever told me about eye contact. Don't hold a stare. Don't dart away. Instead, let your gaze move naturally between someone's left eye, their right eye, and their mouth. Slowly, like you're reading something you find genuinely beautiful. This is how humans look at each other when they're falling in love with an idea. It communicates warmth without aggression, engagement without pressure. People feel held by it without knowing why. Habit 3, the 1-second reset. Before you walk through any door today, pause. Shoulders back, chin level, feet grounded. One breath. 1 second. The research behind power posture isn't just about how others perceive you. It's about how you perceive yourself going in. That single second of intention can shift your neurological state before the conversation even begins. You enter differently, and people feel that difference. Habit 4, the pause that earns trust. Most people are terrified of silence. They rush. They fill gaps. They stumble over half-finished thoughts to avoid the discomfort of 2 seconds of quiet. Magnetic people don't. When asked something meaningful, they pause. 1 beat, 2 beats. And in that pause, something interesting happens. Their answer becomes important before it's even given. Silence, used deliberately, is not emptiness. It is weight. It is the space where your words gather their gravity. Habit 5, the lean. When someone is speaking about something real, something that costs them something to say, lean forward, not aggressively, a fraction, a small, almost subconscious shift of the body toward them. What it says without saying anything: keep going. I'm here. What you're saying is drawing me in. There is almost nothing more connective one human being can do for another than move closer to their words. Habit 6, attuned mirroring. The ancient Stoics believed in sympathia, the idea that all things are interconnected, influencing each other through invisible threads. What neuroscience now calls mirroring is a version of that. When you gently reflect someone's pace, posture, and tone, not as mimicry, but as genuine attunement, they experience something they rarely can name. The feeling that they are understood by the room itself. That being near you is somehow comfortable in a way that being near most people isn't. This is not manipulation. It is the physical language of I am with you. There's a reason people leave certain conversations feeling lighter than when they walked in. This is the section that explains why and how to become the person who causes that. Your name is, neurologically speaking, the most significant sound in your language. Research confirms that hearing one's own name activates the same brain regions associated with identity and reward. Magnetic people know this, not as a technique, but as a form of respect. They use names, not constantly, not robotically, once at the beginning and once at a meaningful moment. It transforms an exchange from transaction to relationship in a single syllable. This is the most underused conversational skill in existence. Someone says, "I've been feeling really lost lately." You say, "Really lost," and then you wait. What happens next is almost always surprising. The person goes deeper. They say the thing they came circling around but hadn't quite arrived at yet. The echo technique doesn't redirect, it deepens. It tells someone, "I heard the weight beneath your words, not just the words themselves." Most people ask one question and then pivot back to themselves. Magnetic people ask two. The first question opens a door. The second question walks through it. How was your trip to Portugal? Amazing, honestly. What was the moment that surprised you most? That second question changes everything. It says, "I'm not filling conversational space. I actually want to be inside your experience for a moment." People remember that. They remember it long after they've forgotten what you were wearing or what you talked about. Here is a quiet truth about human beings. Most people are not looking for advice. They're looking to be heard. Before you respond to anything emotionally charged, acknowledge it first, not with hollow filler words, with something real. That sounds genuinely exhausting. I can understand why that would shake you. One sentence. That's all it takes to shift someone's entire experience of a conversation from being processed to being understood. And the person who makes you feel understood, in a world designed to distract, becomes unforgettable. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men who ever lived, kept a private journal, not of his victories, of his failures, his doubts, his ongoing struggle with his own character. What he understood intuitively was what social psychology would later prove. Vulnerability, used at the right moment, doesn't reduce your credibility. It deepens it. Habit 12. Meet them first, then lead. Magnetism is not about controlling a room. It's about reading it. When you enter someone's energy, match their pace, their tone, their gravity. Before you try to shift it, you earn the right to be followed. You've done the work of saying, "I see where you are." And because of that, when you begin to move toward warmth or openness or depth, they come with you, not because you dragged them, because they trust you. That is leadership in its most elegant form. Habit 13. Develop real opinions. Agreeable is forgettable. This is not a harsh truth. It's a liberating one. When you ask most people what they think, they give you a carefully sanitized answer designed to offend no one and reveal nothing, and the conversation stays in shallow water forever. The person who says, "I've been thinking about this, and here's where I've landed, even if it's uncomfortable," that person creates texture. They make a conversation feel real. And realness is magnetic in a way that politeness never will be. Your opinions are not liabilities. They are the architecture of your presence. Habit 14. Carry the details. This one requires almost no skill and produces almost unlimited goodwill. When someone tells you about something they're nervous about, a difficult conversation, a medical result, a creative project they're terrified to share, remember it. Come back to it. How did that conversation go? Did your results come back okay? In a world where most people are already halfway somewhere else during every interaction, the person who actually held on to something you said becomes extraordinary. Habit 15. Celebrate without asterisks. Here is a quiet test of emotional maturity. Can you be genuinely, fully, cleanly happy for someone else's good fortune? No comparison. No quiet calculation of how their win reflects on you. No polite words while your jaw tightens. Magnetic people have done the internal work that makes this possible. They've freed themselves from the zero-sum story that someone else's rise diminishes their own. And when they celebrate you, when they say, "Tell me everything," and actually mean it, you feel it in a way that's almost physical. That freedom is rare. That freedom is unforgettable. Here's something counterintuitive that Benjamin Franklin understood centuries before behavioral scientists named it. Asking someone for a small favor makes them more inclined to like you, not less. The psychology is elegant. When a person does something for you, their mind works backwards to justify it. I helped them. I must like them. The act of helping forges the connection. Not the other way around. Ask someone for a book recommendation. Ask for their perspective on something you're working through. Ask them to teach you something small they know well. Done with sincerity, it's not weakness. It's an invitation into relationship. This is the final habit, and perhaps the most important one. You stop needing to be the most impressive person in the room because you become the most real one. And realness, rare, unhurried, genuinely curious realness, that is the only form of magnetism that outlasts the moment it's created. You walked in today wondering what it is that certain people have. Now you know. It's not a gift. It's not a personality type. It's not something that was handed out at birth to a lucky few. It is a series of choices made in ordinary moments, in rooms you almost didn't walk into, in conversations you almost half paid attention to be more here than the world has trained you to be. One habit. Start there. Not all 17. One. Watch what it does to a single conversation this week. Watch how someone's face changes when they feel genuinely heard for the first time in a long time. Watch how you feel when connection stops being something that happens to you and starts being something you create. That version of yourself is not aspirational. It's already there. These habits simply give it room to be seen. If this resonated, not just intellectually, but somewhere quieter, then you're exactly who this channel exists for. Subscribe. There's more where this came from. And more importantly, go make someone feel like they matter today.